Okay, hello, my human family. I am here tonight with Rhetoric and Discourse, who doesn't think he's the thinker extraordinaire, but I certainly do.
That is very high praise. Thank you.
And someone I've come to know at least through chat for a while, and Twitter and stuff like that. Who is socially active and psychologically learning.
I'm trying. I try.
How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm having a week, but I'm doing good. I'm glad we were able to set this up.
Oh yes, me too. I have actually just genuinely been looking forward to it. This is a fun chat. I hope.
I hope so too. For the record, I'm recording this on the Friday before it goes up, which means if I had any ambition, I would actually correct the audio and stuff like that. But this is me. Ambition is not my thing. So this is the same week where everything was falling apart. Things are a lot better now, and this is a nice aperitif is beforehand. Whatever. Palate cleanser. to the week. So how you doing? You took your test last week, dude. Didn't say how it went.
I don't know how it went. I got a score. I don't know what that score means. I got I don't know, maybe someone in your audience knows, but I got a 155 and a 146 on the GRE. I have no clue what that means. It's a standardized test that I have to take for and as like one of the check marks one of the checks to mark off that box for my master's program that I want to apply to. But as far as I can tell, the university doesn't actually care what score it is. They just care that I take it. So I did. And now it's moving on to actually finishing applying for hopefully for next fall.
What's your major? What are you studying?
Oh, what am I studying? So those are two very different questions. What's my major and what am I studying are two very, very different questions. I actually have a degree. I have a bachelor's in rhetoric and discourse, hence the name. So, and it's not just two words that I took out of the dictionary. I have a degree in it. For whatever that's worth, I have a degree in rhetoric and discourse. And so that's what I went to school for. It's an English degree. So I learned the most of it was learning how to argue and write arguments and all that and discuss things, discourse them away. So I did that for college because I went to a liberal arts school, and they let you major in anything you want, including rhetoric and discourse. So, and I figured it'd be useful at some point in my life, and then I went and became a behavior therapist, and it is entirely useless to me now. So my the master's program that I want to apply for is in applied behavior analysis.
Well, that I think rhetoric and discourse helps in everything.
It does.
It's not just I mean, I'm sitting here. I sometimes struggle for the words, and I was an English major and then a psychology major. So
yeah,
neuropsychology.
Yeah, so there you go.
I just had to look at brains and not talk to them.
Yep. So you're more or less in the same boat I am. English major to psychology. It's been fun. My biggest struggle is writing for psychology. I have to. I work in a hospital, and if you don't know this about hospitals, they make doctors have to write notes. Except the doctors don't actually write their own notes. They make their nurses do it, and in my case, they make me do it. So I have to write all the notes for the doctors, and it's all incredibly technical, boring language that I have to use to write this. And every time I have to write a note, it makes me cry. Like the English major inside me cries a little bit that I'm not allowed to use fancy words.
I did have a job writing notes for the they don't call them asylums anymore, but it was called these an asylum when I was doing it, and I did not sleep for the months I was doing that. There was like, I thought I had a bad life. These people, there's some stuff in there that just tore me to shreds.
It is one of the most difficult parts about working in a mental health field is one, the first part is you deal with a lot of horrible stories about the medical system, which screws everyone over. Unless you have enough money to pay for it out of pocket, you're always struggling with insurance, and you hear families who lose their jobs and can't pay for medication and can't pay for that. It's heartbreaking every time. And then the second part is thanks to a lot of the not that we don't need them, but thanks to a lot of the laws about privacy and all that, there's no one that you can talk to about all these things because it's all private information. And so I get home and I can't even tell my wife this happened to me today, because I have to edit it so much that it doesn't have the impact about why it's so upsetting that I had to deal with whatever horrible thing I had to deal with that day.
Well, I very never thought I'd talk about this again. It just sort of came out of nowhere. But it was very. My then wife didn't quite understand how I would go and just sort of be off by myself for an hour or so. I'm home. The last one I did, though, as I was leaving, I just decided, all right. I used the language, and I did one up for the Joker. trying to analyze the Joker, and I slipped it in the pile of papers that the doctor was signing.
That is fantastic. that is a way to leave that job right there. That's great.
So, yeah, thankfully somebody who had no emotional that I can detect replaced me.
Yeah. No, it is taxing. It is. We actually, I don't know if this was true when you were working in, but now at least at the hospital that I do work at now, they're very much so aware at how taxing our jobs are that we actually get free counseling. So if you ever have any issue, whatever it may be, no questions asked, you get free counseling. Provided at the clinic. We have our own clinic to go and get it, and then they know we need it, and they give us the time and the resources to take care of it.
Oh, well, back then it was sort of, this is 20 years ago, but so it was, just man up. I'm like, oh, yeah. I have other things to tell you about.
Oh, yeah.
I actually, it's one day it was, there was one particular one that really got me so badly that I when I'm doing up the notes, I completely lost track of time. Mm-hmm. And I left like an hour and a half early because I was in a daze.
Yeah. No, we get those days. It happens.
So they didn't fire me because it's like it's happened to everybody.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. No, we get they'll thankfully at my job they're also very understanding. Like you need to leave right now. You need to leave right now. That's fine. We understand.
So what threw you onto YouTube? What made you go?
Oh, my YouTube story is I hope, at least I hope it's a story of redemption, and not the other way around, even though I'm told that I'm taking my channel and running into the ground.
Uh,
Uh but I think it's the opposite. At least I personally I hope it's the opposite. So I don't actually don't know how old my channel is. It's some amount of years old, and however many years old that is. But when I first started, I started off as an admirer of the bearings and sargons of accods of the internets.
oh dear.
The undooms and yeah, that is the origin of my channel. I was a weird creature with wearing a dress clothes avatar channel. And one of my first videos is actually, and I still on my channel, and I really want to delete it because it's terrible. I don't want anyone to see it anymore. But one of my first videos is a response video to Essence of Thought, and I don't. I keep saying that I wasn't very nice to them about it. But it was about feminism, and I kind of was being my anti-feminist, anti-social justice warrior channel-esque thing, and I shed on Essence of Thought for however many minutes, 20 minutes or whatever, and that's my first or second video on YouTube ever. Um, and then after that, I found flat earthers, and so I decided to make a whole bunch of videos on flat earthers, and then that was fun. And I will probably still do a couple more every once in a while, because I find them fascinating on a psychological point of view. And then in the last like year or so, is when I think I finally I realized that I didn't want to be part of the Bearing Sargon of Akkad's group. Um, like it's far. Yeah, I don't know what entirely like what caught my attention with them, but it was, I don't know, maybe we're super rational even though we're not. I don't know. Or at least it appears like they're super rational, and I like that. But after a couple of years of that, I just decided that I didn't want anything to do with that. So I've kind of gone the other way now, to the point where I'm now I'm called a social justice warrior, and I'm now told that I'm running my channel into the ground by I don't know, being talking about trans rights, and being, making videos about against Ben Shapiro and all those folks. So the people that I once admired, I'm sort of making videos against them while making friends with, Essence of Thought, and it's just the people that I used to rag on when I first started my channel. So the kind of done the 180 on my channel.
Well, I mean, it's not entirely unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Fantano has gone and apologized to a lot of people he slammed, and
Mm-hmm.
Natalie ContraPoints used to be a shitlord
Yeah.
in her ancient life, but all those videos have disappeared, which is sad because a lot of them were pretty
Yeah.
for a shitlord.
Yeah. I've even like and like I've even asked Essence of Thought, like, hey, like, in your personal opinion, should I delete my crappy ass video about you? And they said, no, keep it up. It's, learn from your mistakes. And it's true. Like, a part of me wants to get rid of it because I'm super embarrassed by it, like super super embarrassed, and I want no one to ever see it. But then there's definitely a part of me that's like, no, I need to keep it up there to show what an idiot looks like, and what they can look like afterwards. That it's not like, you don't always have to be R&D from 3 years ago. You can change and improve, and you don't have to stay the same person. You're not, your past actions don't dictate who you have to be now.
Well, yeah, that's that's been my arc in my personal life this last couple of years. So it's not necessarily online. I took a very long break from making videos from oh my god. I could look up when my last one was before this year, but I think 2010. So,
Mhm.
and
Oh man, if you want to find ancient stuff, there is an R&D Let's Play channel out there somewhere.
oh
Um,
dear.
uh, oh dear, that was actually my start. I don't think I've logged onto that account in like 5 years, but it does exist.
Well,
There is an R&D Let's Play channel out there.
the and this the two things that made me start on YouTube. I did a video the first day I realized I was an atheist.
Yeah,
Just about that,
it's a big change there, or it's a big realization to have.
yeah, yeah, and um, I talked like an old professor, as somebody in the comments very nicely point out. And I'm going, I'm still recovering from a couple of strokes. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I got other problems right now. um, but I do find it fascinating why people start their channels, because it's never for the reason that they continue them.
No.
Apparently,
No, yeah.
it's
Yeah, at this point I don't sometimes I wonder why I continue it. Like I still have like I haven't entirely stopped making videos, but I definitely don't make them as regularly as I used to. And I'm not as active on my channel. Like I still have my weekly stream, but like it used to be a video and a weekly stream every week, and I always had something to say. But it's slowed down, and I don't know. Like part of me always wonders, like, do I want to keep doing it? Am I just doing it for the habits of it? Am I actually making a difference? I doubt I am. I'm some random person on the internet yelling into the void, but um, every once in a while I hear that I hear people say that I've done something for them, so I guess that keeps me going.
well. I mean, you first came to my notice from your flat Earth stuff, so I don't think I ever commented on anything. But during yeah, I said I'm going to obliquely refer to it during the contretemps of the, which is a great word, during the Trump.
We gotta have like a word. We got like he who should not be named. Like we need to have like the era that should not be named, or the
Yeah, during the. I think I first joined your chat very while the troubles were going on, and it gave me a lot of comfort when I needed it. So that was important to me.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there's times when everybody feels like they're fighting alone, whatever fight they have, and sometimes it's just nice to have other people fighting alongside you. And sorry to be sentimental about that one.
Oh no, no, it's fine. I'm flattered. It's not. I don't know. It's not why. It's not why I made my videos. It's not like I don't particularly think of myself as like a warrior of any sort. I really do think of myself as some random idiot on the internet who says things in front of a microphone. I don't. But I'm always, I am very touched. I've gotten a couple of emails and a couple of, long messages from my patrons, and I am always touched to know that I actually make some sort of a difference, because that really wasn't my goal. So it is nice to hear. So thank you.
No problem. I didn't mean to make a blusher. Well, what is it that switched you off? Do you know what it was that switched off from being an edgelord? won't call it a shitlord, but just to be.
NG. What really did it? I feel like God, I'm trying to think of exactly what moment I just like I realized that it wasn't what I wanted to do. That I didn't want to do that I didn't want to be part of that anymore. Um I think as I was making more and more of my flat Earth videos, every once in a while I'd make a video. Not too often. I think I made like one video on like Gavin McInnes being a racist asshole, and I think I made like one video on Stephen Molyneux, and those got some of those videos, like the receptions that I got for them, made me a little sad. Not because I cared about the like and dislike, but because the comments were full of support for people that I thought's like, why would you ever support someone like Gavin McInnes who is like outright just racist, full out racist. Like I can understand supporting, not understand, but I understand why people support like the more subtle racist individuals, because it's hard to parse out and all that. But when you come to like the overt racism, I was just amazed that one, people genuinely supported what Gavin had to say, and that two, they also supported me, and that made me slightly uncomfortable. Like I didn't like that my audience and Gavin's audience had an overlap. I feel like made me feel dirty. So I don't know if that's like it like I didn't feel good about it. Like I don't want Gavin McInnes fans in my audience. Like if you think that he's a good person, like I don't want you. I don't want your views. I don't want your subscription. I don't want your money. Go away. I'm sorry. Like I just like there's certain people like you get there, and I just want nothing to do with that. And I think that's really what kind of started it. Is a lot of what I realized how much overlap my audience had with people who I just found to be completely vile.
Yeah. When the first big atheist split happened, which was over, basically somebody said guys don't hit on women at conventions in the elevator at 3 a.m. And all the guys lost their shit.
Mm-hmm. And I was one of I was one of them. I was there with I remember the reason that my Twitter account exists now, the reason that the Rhetoric and Discourse account, I think it's the Rhetoric and Discourse account on Twitter exists, was to follow Thunderfoot on Twitter as he was bitching out Watson, right? Or
Rebecca Watson.
Watson, right? It was so that I could cheer on Thunderfoot, and I could join along and be like, yeah, you all are ruining all the fun with your being nice to women things. Like I was one of those assholes who was entirely on Thunderfoot's camp and was like, fuck off, Peasy Meyer. How dare you tell men not to trap women in elevators and say sketchy ass shit to them in an enclosed place, and and years later I that is horribly uncomfortable. I'm real sorry, Rebecca Watson. I don't know if you'll ever see or even know who I am, and I'm sorry, but I'm so sorry that I ever jumped on that, because it was horrible of me to not understand your situation and not and really do I'm not sure if it reached the point of rape apologetics, but sexual assault apologetics, and I engaged in that, and that was not, I don't feel good about that. I really genuinely don't feel good about that.
Well, I think that there's always room for everybody to grow and figure out what's where it goes wrong. And I get liking the Thunderfoots and stuff. I hated Amazing Atheist from the beginning.
I flip on that one. Everyone, I don't know how to feel about him. Every once in a while, he's the epitome of a broken clock is right twice a day thing. Like
Yeah.
every once in a while, he says something that's so incredibly right. I'm just like, I hate having to agree with you, but you got it spot on. And then the other 11 hours of the day, he's just an absolute wreck.
Rebecca Watson gets stuff wrong once in a while, and it's fine.
Oh yeah.
She got that one right. She gets she's a little to the right of me. So.
Oh yeah.
The one I find it funny because like we talked a little bit before, and one of the things that drove me away was Natalie, in her male presentation from way back in the day, and that she would eventually become one of those people who was very influential. I don't want to use that word, but that somebody popular can come out and transition. That was huge for me. And I only originally started watching her when I knew that said person had a new channel, just to see, okay, what shit lordy thing is that? I'm having trouble with pronouns here. I know the idea of historical pronouns. I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of indoctrinated into it.
Yeah.
So, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What is this person going to get up to now that's going to be completely maddening, and I'm going to want to punch my monitor through the wall? And it's like, oh, this is actually interesting, and this is the person I actually first came to like. Before the shitlordiness. So I every time I think, okay, somebody should just be written off, I think of that.
Yeah.
I think of her. She's the queen. She maintains a little bit of the shitlordiness here and there, but that's okay.
Yeah.
At least it's for the good cause.
It's true, yeah, and I try very hard not to be dismissive. I'm probably not the best example. It's definitely one of those like do as I say, not as I do, because I get like I definitely have my limit with people. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm done with you. I don't think you'll ever be a good person. And that's entirely wrong of me to say, because I shouldn't be dismissive of people, but it gets to me. But it's been really nice to see, hearing about ContraPoints and her both literal and metaphorical transition from one end of the spectrum to the other is very interesting. Along with like Cult of Dusty is one of my favorites for that, and his edgelord shitlord phase versus what he's trying to do now, and mostly the effort that he puts into trying to redeem himself is, I think, if nothing else, admirable. Even if you don't agree with what he says, I think the effort that he tries into becoming a better person is very admirable.
I remember that there was some exchange we had, and it was like, "Are you one of the people I insulted before? Because if I did, I'm sorry." No, you were on the periphery to me.
Yeah.
I knew who you were. I said, "Okay, you should get a suit and a face mask." Yeah, redemption's a huge thing. I mean, for me personally, I mean, my own life has changed significantly. The biggest problem is talking about it in real life. I talked a bit about when talking about the first Mrs. Abbey
Mm-hmm.
earlier on my sudden video because of her illness. I talked a bit about me being a toxically masculine person because I'm not a masculine person at all. So I didn't know how. So that's the only way I knew how to pretend to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And the pretend just got to be who I was. And it took a lot of unpacking to get that.
Mm-hmm.
To get the knee socks out of the wherever they were hidden underneath the lining. Very tortured metaphor. So yeah, I hadn't gone back and watched any of your earlier stuff. Like I said, you caught my eye with the flat Earth stuff, so
you don't have to. It's fine.
I knew nothing about this, so I'm sorry I'm taking so much time. I'm very fast.
No, it's fine. Like I said, it's something that like it was a very slow transition. So it's not, and it really didn't come to like, it didn't really come out to the open how much I guess I had changed up until the era we shall not talk about came about. And then I apparently came out on the extreme end of things. And it was then that I saw a lot of my peers, and I still to this day every once in a while I'll have a conversation on Twitter with somebody who I've either worked on a video with before or done hangouts with or did things, and they'll, one of the many things that I hear is, oh, I used to respect you so much and now you've gone down this SJW rabbit hole and you're not the same. And it's only been in the last, since April, really, May, March, April. If I know my months, that it really became like, oh, R&D is entirely not what I thought he was. I thought he was an edgelord who made attack helicopter jokes and made fun of people's pronouns, and no, he doesn't do that. It's horrible.
Well, let me speculate on something just to, and I'll cut it out if you ask me to. But you and I are both Hispanic. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Discourse is not a Spanish last name.
No. It's, yeah. You're just pronouncing it wrong.
Abbey isn't either. It's actually Portuguese, but you and I are both Hispanic, and a lot of the way Hispanics have been looked at in the last couple of years has been pretty freaking horrifying, and to have some empathy for other people as well. I mean, you could go the one where, oh, you haven't suffered enough. But I'm as white looking as they come, obviously. Although the trans thing gets me in trouble here and there. But I'm wondering how much people changed over the last couple of years just because of being marginalized when they didn't think that was really going to be what was going to happen.
Yeah. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever Trump started happening, I had a friend at the wine club that I go to ask me, do you think that the U.S. is racist? And me being a good token Mexican was like, no, it's not racist. I don't think the U.S. is racist. And then I was swiftly proven wrong by a bunch of racist assholes. So then I don't want to generalize too much and say that if you voted for Trump, you're racist, but people were okay with letting a racist asshole into the White House and didn't bat an eye at it. And that truly bothered me. Like that was one of the things that did shake my core about the fact that I don't know if it was entirely for tokenism's sake or not, but I would have been like, no, you're not really racist. You're right. Mexicans are kind of, we do have a tendency to rob more places than white people do. But then I realized that actually, like, saying those words actually had consequences and has since led to much more horrible consequences than just stereotypes and into actual concentration camps of people. So it went from being a funny stereotype of being lazy Mexicans and taking people's jobs to children actually dying in camps and actual human horrors happening at the U.S. border. And so that's been that in and of itself at least either awakened or reawakened my understanding of the amount of racism that still exists in the U.S. And I don't, again, I don't. People are going to get mad almost regardless of what I say. But when I talk about racism, it's not, I don't necessarily think that if you're racist, you want to kill all the Mexicans or anything. I just think there's definitely some implicit racism that eventually, like, you have enough implicit racism, you build yourself a nice little pyramid to be able to justify a lot of horrors, which I feel like is what happened over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, and I've known at least a couple of people who have, because of because of Trump, suddenly became empathetic towards other marginalized groups because they were suddenly marginalized themselves.
Yeah.
And a couple of people, I'm not naming my brother or anything, who just became worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it definitely. I can see how that happens is once you, it is empathetic. Once you realize you're in the same boat, as other people, it becomes, it does become a little bit more obvious the things that other groups have to face as well.
Yeah, I think I actually this is the silliest thing, but I wonder sometimes if Trump hadn't been elected, if I ever would have come out. It's almost an act of defiance to be myself.
No, yeah. It makes. I mean, so like one of the things that I'm trying to, and I know I recently did this on Twitter because I finally kind of understood the importance of it. That I started doing, like, I put my pronouns in my bio on Twitter, not because I'm trans, but because I want to normalize the fact that people put their people want their pronouns and that's what they want to use, and I want to help normalize that. And so I've kind of more recently realized, like, especially when it comes to trans issues, because that's sort of been the thing that I guess I've been talking about a lot, is I'm very stereotypical male. I have a beard, I have short black hair, there's nothing, you can't look at me and misgender me for the, like, you got to try real hard to do that. you got it. You're kind of stretching it if you want to misgender me. And that gives me, and I feel like because of that, it gives me an opportunity to say, to be one of those people who stands out, to not be your typical cis het guy. Like, I don't have to be that. I don't have to, I can demonstrate that I don't have to be the kind of person who has to, just because I'm cis and heterosexual doesn't mean I have to make attack helicopter jokes and make fun of people for putting their pronouns in their bios, but I can help embrace those things and say, no, you know what? As a cis heterosexual guy, let's put our pronouns in the bio. Let's normalize that. Let's normalize the fact that I can be a good example of how you can be a cis heterosexual guy and not be transphobic at the same time. And I kind of like, that's one of the things that at least in the last like couple of months I would like to be able to do, is like to rehabilitate the dude bro. Like you don't have to, because I don't know. I feel like, and this is stereotyping, but I feel like a lot, you get all those like soy boy things. Like you're just, a little soy boy with your perfectly shaved chin and all that, and I feel like sometimes you just need someone who's like, no, you can be a regular dude and not be transphobic. You don't just have to be a soy boy and not be transphobic.
Oh yeah,
Not that there's anything wrong with being a soy boy. Be a soy boy away. I'm just.
Hey, it works for H-Bomber guy, yeah?
It works for, yeah, he's a handsome dude. Oh, when he wears those bow ties, man, those bow ties are fantastic. Fuck yeah. Like, be a soy boy. Those are fantastic. I love those bow ties. He pulls them off with style.
There's a bar I go to. I don't drink because it's a bad move if I do. I'm one of those people who can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bar I go to because I play there a fair amount, and it's a place I had my last drink, for God's sakes, 20 years ago. It's now owned by like this really buff weightliftery guy who's wider than he is tall. That's how much muscle he has on him, and as macho as you can possibly imagine. First day I came out, I went there dressed, and somebody tried to block the women's room just as I was passing by.
Yeah,
I wasn't even going to I was passing by, and someone decided. Guy got picked up and tossed right the fuck out.
Yeah.
Which was like made me rethink who is going to be an ally and who wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
If the big macho guy is going to go, oh, okay, well, this is unacceptable in my place.
Yeah.
Bigotry of any kind.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of bigotry against dude bros. So
I don't blame you. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I would love to see the fact, like, I don't know. You've seen my streams where we are.
Yeah.
I call myself a sexist ass all the time because we have boobs. We talk about boobs. We objectify women constantly. We are awful. But I also like part of that, like I could and probably should, but part of that is I also want to show like you can be a dude who likes pretty women, but you don't have to be an asshole to women, and you can still enjoy pretty women with consent and all that good stuff. But you don't have to be you can appreciate it, and you don't have to complain about the fact that Square Enix's latest character has breasts that are too small. You can still do both. You can still enjoy. You can still be a dude bro and enjoy, if you want to call them, typical male things, but you don't have to be an asshole at the same time. I don't think they're mutually exclusive things to be.
I enjoy breasts. That is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just happen to be growing my own for science or something. some bizarre experiment that will continue the rest of my life. No, yeah, and I did. I really had it was, and it turned out not to be the dude bros I had to worry about. Dude bros were fine most of the time. It was I don't know. It's hard to explain who to look out for, but it's if you had to look out for them, you'd know.
Yeah,
the but it's cool you're looking out for us, and I'm wondering if I'm wondering if this Hispanic thing had something to do with it. I think just being, I mean, for myself, just okay, I'm already marginalized. Fuck it, I'm just gonna be me now.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did see one. You know, I saw one of my friends be affected by the DACA thing that happened, whatever, a year and a half ago, whenever that happened. And I saw a friend of mine actually sit and like have a panic attack over whether they would be able to stay in the country. And this is a very, very intelligent, very hardworking young lady who's, you know, trying to go to nursing school and trying, you know, she's doing more than most, you know, born U.S. citizens at her age, and yet she's having the potential of having her entire life just uprooted and thrown into a different country that she doesn't even know because she's never been there. You know, she's there at 5 years old, and that gave, like, watching someone close to me actually suffer that way was really eye-opening at the real world consequences that I once kind of advocated for and whatnot.
It's, you know, yeah, people going. I can say this in some kind. You know, I writer person. I make money writer. I good words. I don't think anybody, if they're given the choice, would go back to. I mean, people, you know, oh, this was such an idyllic time in my life, but nobody, if they think about it for a second, would really. Well, nobody who has this, who has had some kind of relatively stable afterwards would really go back to who they were before, because we were all assholes at one point.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, boy, I just made that stupid mistake. I won't be doing that again.
No, and as long as you can learn from it, like, yeah, like one of the early ons when I started talking about some of this stuff is, you know, we all is one of the things that we all make mistakes. We all say stupid shit. We've all been assholes. I will be an asshole in the future because I'm not perfect. I'm gonna say something racist. I'm gonna say something transphobic. I'm gonna say something homophobic. I'm gonna say something stupid in the future. And I understand that, and it's like the problem isn't me. Like, I should do my best to try to avoid those, but I don't have to, you know, the problem isn't that I'm going to make those mistakes. The problem is when I make those mistakes, will I learn from it? Is what will I take from it afterwards? Will I make those mistakes and dismiss it and be like, I'm okay with that and I'm going to just remake the same mistake over again? Or am I going to realize, hey, I was an asshole, I should not do that again? That's the part that really matters. It's not the mistake in and of itself is such a you know, such a small portion of that equation. It's the important part is what you get out of it.
Well, yeah, even the well, having occasion to think of it this week, the relationships that say romantic relationships, but even friend relationships. But I'll go specifically on a romantic example. I was not great to Morgana, to put it mildly. Things improved with the second Mrs. Abby. The person I was seeing on and off for the last year and a half never saw any of that side of me, because I had learned by the end of the last couple of things that side of me was just not someone I ever wanted to show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a funny thing. And I mean, I could chart it on a map, and I'm on a brain map how that works, sort of. Which sections rewire themselves and all of that. I'm sure you could. Well, hopefully by now you can know the terms and such for that. But it's a funny thing. We wound up talking about a certain kind of psychology too. You sort of surprised me at the beginning, and I'm just going to take this as far as it can possibly go.
Yeah.
That's when a couple football fields with this. But but the first time I joined one of your streams was when you were specifically dealing with trans rights that I knew of. And I said, all right, let's see what's going on over here. And it was very comforting. And trans and atheism has become a big thing this last year. It was already before somebody blew it up. Quite unintentionally, I believe, but did. Yeah. And what prompted the speaking out? I mean, I know what prompted. We were talking about what prompted your change in attitude, but what prompted the speaking out?
Honestly, the original video, so he who should not be named. I started off with just an original video, and I was a subscriber and a fan of them, and I watched their videos, and I had a sneaking suspicion that they were sort of doing the right wing shuffle. And they were moving that way with some of the earlier comments that he had made about like Ben Shapiro, and I did kind of catch on to his like, I agree with Ben Shapiro when he denies the trans individuals identified gender, when he kind of said that a while ago, and since then I've always kind of been suspicious. And then he came out with that video, and it was just so, to me, it was so blatantly not. Historically, at that time, I didn't think that he was transphobic, but his video was so blatantly transphobic that I was like, my thing on the internet is I debunk nonsense on the internet, so this is nonsense on the internet, I'm going to talk about it. Thinking this is so blatant, this is so obvious that no one in my subscribers, no one's going to have a problem with me doing this, because this is so blatantly transphobic. It's so obvious, right? And then I turned out to be wrong about how well my audience would receive that, and my audience were not happy with me at all about receiving that. And that's when I really started noticing not just how much I don't want to say how much bigotry there is in the secular community, but like how much it gets ignored. I should get like how much
Yeah.
bigotry gets sort of swept under the rug, or just like we're gonna not talk about that. The fact that there is a large portion of our community that is extremely bigoted, and we're just not going to talk about that. And it wasn't until then that I realized it, and then it just became a thing that I just kept talking about it because I was just in my way, it's just so floored that it wasn't obvious that like I feel like this should be very obvious, and I'm just so floored that it's not obvious that I don't have to, but that I keep making video after video explaining the exact same point over and over and over again, and people are still not getting how clearly transphobic some of this stuff is.
I'll broaden it out a little bit. There is a lot of bigotry in the secular community that gets passed over. I mean, yeah, the feminist split was a very obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
But it started off silly. I mean, it was already there.
Mm-hmm.
So before this last year, I mean, or this last, oh my God, it was March already. That's 7 months ago.
It does feel like it's been a lifetime ago. It does feel like this all happened 10 years ago, looking back at it.
Well, I had already noticed a fair amount of bigotry in the secular community to begin with. Not well. There was a trans person who appeared on the Atheist Experience about a year and a half ago, I think, it was almost immediately before it came out. So I remember at least that much. So that gives me a timeline. And there were so many people in the comment section, because I watched it live. So many people in the comment section say, "Who is this man? Who is this man?" Like, this person is appearing with a female name.
Yeah.
You know, she's gendered female. She's obviously, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she looks more butch now, and she's very female. I'm trying to be very careful and not to say who it is.
Mm-hmm.
You probably noticed that. And that was the first time I noticed it, and I was rather keen on noticing it, but I kind of let it go, even though it's something that would affect me. I mean, not that I'm the most important person in the world, but yeah, and I just let it go because I thought, you know, this is a one-off thing, but it wasn't a one-off thing.
Yeah.
And I started noticing it. That's when I started noticing it. I mean, me coming out had something to do with it too.
Yeah, I think at some point, I while I still follow a lot of the atheist sort of personalities, I've been slowly following less and less of them as they come out and say stupid shit on the internet. I've been following less and less of them, but I guess I wasn't paying as close of attention before all of this happened. I was kind of I was an atheist, but I wasn't really doing atheist content. I was talking about flat earthers, and I don't think you need to be an atheist to talk about flat earthers. So I wasn't doing exclusively atheist things, and so I didn't really notice it until this more recent event that I really saw coming out. But to me, very blatantly, I saw it coming out. And unfortunately, the thing that it I hopefully hasn't taught me, because I hope I don't change my behavior because of it, but it certainly demonstrated it, is how much let's compare it to a church, how much like the Catholic Church the atheist community can be, where they protect their own, and they're more than willing to sweep the things that they don't want to talk about under the rug, and to make sure that their priests don't get don't have to deal with any negative consequences for the things that they said. And yet how much the people who speak out are the ones that are the real villains in this narrative. I know I haven't gotten the brunt of it, but people like Essence of Thought and Godless Cranium, how much crap they got for just for pointing out what is relatively obvious thing to point out. With almost, we never had big YouTubers stand up and defend us. That we never had Matt Dillahunty be like, "Oh no, I think you're right." We had just kind of each other to defend, and that was very eye-opening to see that effect at how willing we are to, or how willing the atheist community is to defend its own.
Well, even David, so I don't know if you caught the news, but David Silverman has a new job.
I saw that a little earlier today, and how much? Yeah, it's definitely, it's a thing. I mean, what was it? It's gotten to the point where Richard Dawkins is now promoting churches. Was the thing that he's some church, some extremely bigot. I forget what they're called, but he promoted them like last weekend. Like, we've gotten to the point where Richard Dawkins is promoting churches. Like, that's the guy who wrote The God Delusion, and probably one of the reasons that I consider myself an atheist is Richard Dawkins, and now he's going to promote church events, and it's baffling to me. But
well, in the world of serendipity, I met Richard Dawkins about an hour before I met Debbie Goddard and Monette Richards. And I like Debbie and Monette so much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for those of us who turned atheist, whatever it is we did, at a certain period of time, Dawkins was huge for us.
Yeah, and I still have I have 2 or 3 of his books around.
Selfish Genius, still a great book.
Yeah, no, I have that. I have The God Delusion. I've read it a couple times. It's even people, God, maybe less than a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago, I promoted on my channel, and thankfully nobody listens to what I promote, because I was promoted Peter Boghossian's book, Manual for Creating Atheists, or Manual for something. I forget what it's called. I have it somewhere on my bookshelf.
Close to that.
Yeah, whichever one that is. Which Peter Boghossian's an asshole, but that book is very good at what it sets out to do. Like, I remember when I did promote it, how much, how fondly I spoke of Peter Boghossian, and his how much I admired him, and now he's Peter Boghossian being an asshole. It amazes me how much changed in a handful of years.
Oh, that's the church. That's the church thing. That's the church talk that Dawkins is promoting. Is with Peter Boghossian.
Yeah, Peter Boghossian. Yeah.
The street epistemology stuff. Well, we both know which parts of that are crap and which parts are right.
Yeah.
That's a pretty simple Psych 101.
Yeah.
But it still works. Yeah, it's. I'm one of those eternal optimists who think everybody is. I think this actually probably comes from the kind of Christian I was, which is I have this I have this over overarching belief that everyone can be saved.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how many times I'm proven wrong, that's something I just do not want to give up.
Yeah.
Because without optimism, I got nothing.
Yeah. I want to be optimistic. I genuinely do. Even this morning, I hate Twitter because even this morning I was like, here's someone who I've never talked to before, and they're gonna tell me how this and this is not transphobic. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna listen, and I'm not gonna be rude about it, and I'm gonna listen. And I lasted like an hour before I couldn't anymore. It's like I only have so much optimism about listening and trying to be like genuinely have conversations before I can't. Like at some point I snap and it's just like I'm done. I don't have to deal with. Thankfully, I don't have to deal with you. So we're gonna move on with my life, and I have work to do and better things to do than argue with bigots on the internet.
Yeah, well, I've got a fuck you factor too.
Yeah, yeah, and like I really want to hope that it's not going to be me that convinces them that what they're doing is bigoted or they're being like it's definitely not going to be me because I already burned down that bridge that's not going to be me. But I'm hopeful that maybe someone somewhere will do that. It's just I'm not necessarily hopeful that person is going to be me.
Did you lose a lot of patrons slash subs?
I did. I think I'm about at half of what I was patron wise than I was back in April. Or April, May. I think I'm about a half the patrons. I lost not that I have a big channel, but I lost around 600 subscribers. Net lost 600 subscribers between my first video on He Who Shall Not Be Named and sometime in June, July. But I got a little lucky where a flatter or a big YouTuber who does flatter stuff gave me a shout out, and so I ended up with a net gain out of that. But that just sort of undid some of the losses that I had done. And they kind of showed up, and I don't think they understood what they're getting themselves into when they showed up. So I might be slowly losing them too.
No.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't know.
I delayed my. I was initially going to start my channel back up in March. I delayed it until June, I think. It's such an easy thing to look up. I should actually know it. But I delayed it a couple of months. All I can tell you is I lost about a quarter of my Facebook friends.
Mm-hmm.
And about half my followers on Twitter.
Yeah, it's
By coming out. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing how things like that really go to show you who's gonna stick around and actually be your friend, and who's gonna be intolerant of your change.
It's all right. I've made a lot of new friends too.
Yeah.
Like
that has been nice. I will say, even though to some degree the whole debacle was very depressing. While it was very depressing, I have since come out and I've made a bunch of new YouTube friends. I think the friends that I have made sense are friends who I interact with a whole lot more often. They're not just like people who I talk to every month or two when we want to do a project together or appear on each other's show, they tend to be like people that I can actually message in the middle of the day and tell them about the fact that I'm sitting around counting turtles today, and I can talk to them about my personal life, and it's not just like a YouTube mutually beneficial thing. It's more they seem more like actual friendships.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I wanted to see. Like I said, you threw me. I wanted to ask about the stuff on the shelf. I have to have you back because we've already gone a long, fairly long.
Anytime. No, I'd love to. This is genuinely a lot of fun, and I was looking forward to it all week. So I am.
Oh,
and any time.
It's very sweet. I love your shelf, and I really have been wanting to ask about it. I totally missed it. Although I want to know what's in that box. The one box.
I have lots of boxes. Which one?
The redhead in the box.
My little pop figure.
Yeah.
This one's Asuka Langley Soryu from Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Of course. All right.
Yeah. She's actually fairly new. Like, I just got this. My best lady brought it for me a couple of weeks ago when she came to visit. So a fairly new one. Yeah, she's I love my best lady. She's such a wonderful friend of mine.
Oh yes, that's right. Your best man was the best lady, which is like, that's too cool.
She's wonderful. Like we weren't about to care about gender stuff at my wedding. We have friends, and we were gonna. My wife and I both agreed we were gonna let our friends be there, and regardless of whether they were gonna be on the right side or the whatever the groom side or that didn't matter. My wife didn't care, and it's just like, I want my friend here.
One of my groomsmen was trans, but I was the only one who knew that at the time. So. Yeah, one of those weird things. I mention it fairly often. So, but 1989, my friend and I made a pact that neither of us were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I came out last year, June. She came out almost exactly a year before. So, sorry. There's a lot of trans on this. Stuff keeps coming back to trans in my head. It's still interesting to me.
It's fine. Well, I mean, it's fine. I will say it again, just to sort of try to look on the bright side of everything. The other good thing that happened with all this debacle is I was in a methodologies of psychological inquiry class at the time when everything was going on, and part of that class was we were constantly doing paper reviews. So I had to go find a peer review paper on something and do a little write-up of what I read and results and all that fun jazz. And it just, everything was happening at the same time that I was having these assignments due, that I ended up reading just a boatload of very fascinating articles on trans individuals, a lot of fun studies on presenting. There was a great study on voices and how with YouTubers. Actually, it was pretty cool because there's a bunch of YouTubers who did this, who participated in the study, and how much how the importance of having your voice match your identified gender kind of helped with a bunch of different self-confidence and things like that. So a lot of really cool stuff in general that I got to read, and I got to learn quite a bit because of this.
Well, good. We probably done more reading on it than actually. All of those studies that have been floating about, let's just say No Plum wrote red. I can still
Oh.
slam on No Plum here. He's open target.
There we go.
All the ones that No Plum dismissed out of hand. I've read every single one of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then of course there was all those. Yeah, I read through all of those studies, so I know way more about sports than I thought I ever would. I'm not a sports person. I don't really like. I don't understand sports, and now I know more than I really should about it. But you learn. So I it's always good to learn new things.
This is true, and I did the smart thing, and I actually contacted one of the people who got mentioned in the videos.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't quite take it to that point. I really should have. Huh.
She's she's actually incredibly cool. Just so, if anybody cares, the bicyclist Dr. Rachel McKinnon is way cool.
Oh, I've heard her name before. I got into someone was Rachel McKinnon. She's on Twitter's, right?
She is on Twitter. You'll
She's
see.
I feel like I was getting into an argument with somebody about Rachel McKinnon, and I didn't know who it was, and I was like, I don't like. They were saying that she had said some things. I was like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I agree or disagree with this person because I have no idea who they are.
Well, I know you don't like philosophy, and you're allowed on this channel, even though it's partially a philosophy channel.
There is a reason I don't like, or the running joke at my college about rhetoric and discourse and philosophy was that philosophers were just rhetoricians who couldn't find jobs. So it was my hatred for philosophy really comes from this feud with the philosophy department at college more than anything else.
I will not tell you I only have a few books sitting on this particular shelf because my other computers are there. All philosophy books. I'm so sorry. I'll make it up to you.
No, this like my hatred for Iowa is it's mostly a hatred of it's for show. I don't genuinely hate philosophy. I just gotta.
I figured it was shtick. So
Yeah.
Dr. Rachel McKinnon, she's a professor of philosophy. So she's and she's interesting.
All right. Yeah.
I'd actually read her before I knew anything about her. So.
No.
And then when she came up, I'm like, that name sounds familiar. I went and looked again. Oh, right. Okay. So
I'm gonna have to look her up because that she, like I said, I bumped into a couple of mentions of her on Twitter, but I haven't. I don't know too much.
Was that was cat like?
Yeah, the kitty has shown up. He's a little jealous that he's not the star of the show.
As all cats are.
Yeah, I think he knows like when I'm recording or doing something because that's exactly the time he wants to be on my desk.
And I tell you, it is disconcerting because it does look exactly like my cats. It's like very Videodrome. in a good way. The thing on voices, by the way, this is since I told you I sing here. I was so self-conscious the first few gigs I had, first few paying gigs I had. I have a friend who's a cis woman singer, and I asked her to open for me, and she said, "You never asked me to open for you before. Why now?" I'm like, "You're the only girl I know who has a deeper voice than I do." She's like, "Fair enough." We now split shows a fair amount, but she was my friend, is my friend, but and kind of got where I was going. Besides, most of my band is trans, so one poor cis person out of 4. Oh, hello, Jack. You're not Jack. Oh, it's not my kitty.
just gotta show off those kitty ears, oh buddy. Oh, you're such a handsome boy.
Right. We'll do this again. We do this again soon. Probably, hopefully, on a week when I'm not quite as frazzled. I still wanted to keep this because I knew this is something I'd enjoy, and I did very much. I like talking to you, and I still have that weird speed up and then hesitate thing going on. I'm very much like one of those old jalopies in the 40s movies. That really is my normal mode of talk. But it has been fantastic to talk to you. I'll see you on Sunday. This will go up on Tuesday. So
all right.
We can, tease the future or something.
There we go.
If you want to mention it on your show, you don't have to, but right.
No, but thank you. I had a blast. So thank you very much for having me on. I do appreciate it.
Oh, please, anytime. We'll arrange sooner than. I think I might have some recurring people. You're going to be one of them. But to all the people watching, you matter. Your words matter. Your life matters, and have a good time. I haven't figured out how to end that. The matters part was the important part.
There we go. The matters part's the part that matters. It's fine.
And to Rhetoric and Discourse, I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.